5 ways to break your bad spending habits. When we're spending money, our brain releases chemicals that make us happy, especially when we're excited about what we're buying. Because of that, lousy spending can become addictive. It's important to realize that breaking these habits can significantly improve your quality of life. However, it could take a long time to get rid of them completely. You'll need to treat bad spending habits like you would other bad habits. That means that you'll need to monitor yourself for wasteful spending constantly. When you do, you'll notice improvements in your savings account right away. Track your spending. You must start changing your spending habits by tracking what you spend. You want to have this information so you can make budgets and plan for the future. You can use a reliable app or create a document of your own to keep track of your money. No matter what tracking method you want to use, you should count the money you receive and what you spend. It's good to track for a week or two to get a baseline of what you make in a set amount of time. In short, you must know how much you make per paycheck when setting up a firm budget. That way, you know precisely what portion of your earnings needs to go where. Establish a budget. Now that you have a way to track your spending, you can make a budget. You want to first account for your rent, bills, mortgage, and groceries. From there, you can save the leftover money. Of course, this doesn't mean you need to stop spending on things you like entirely, but your main goal should be to spend more wisely than you are currently. It is a good idea to account for savings in your budget too. You want to make sure your savings account is always able to grow. Otherwise, you won't have money for emergencies. Finally, you also need to ensure you don't neglect your retirement accounts. Use a savings account. The most effective way to handle bad spending habits is to use your savings account to the fullest. We recommend that you set up automatic weekly payments around the time you get paid. That way, a portion of your money always goes into your savings account first. Doing so ensures that your savings account continues growing. Since you don't need to remember to move money into your savings account with this method, it's highly effective. Even if it's only a small amount of funds each week, it will add up over time. You can even set up multiple savings accounts with your bank. It's a good idea to have at least 2 savings accounts. One should be for saving for fun, such as vacations or things you want. The second should be for emergencies. Make sure you're putting a reasonable amount in each week. You don't need to go overboard with your savings. Start paying in cash. It's also helpful to pay more often in cash. When you set aside an amount of physical money to use during the week, you're much less likely to overspend. Using credit or debit cards makes it much harder to tell exactly how much money you're going through, even if you're tracking everything. The best method is to get out cash to use until your next paycheck. You can split up the money into specific envelopes that you label. For instance, you can write grocery money on one, then set aside the money you plan on using for food. This method prevents you from spending too much. You'll notice when the envelopes are getting low on funds. Plus, you're less likely to reach for money that's set aside for specific needs. Overall, this method is beneficial for stopping unnecessary spending. Avoid impulsive spending. Many people with bad spending habits have compulsive tendencies. You may find yourself grabbing extra items before checkout or throwing more products into your online cart. Impulsive spending requires a lot of effort on your part to stop. The first step is learning to recognize when you're doing it. An impulsive purchase occurs when you buy something you didn't mean to. It can be expensive or very cheap, but you didn't start shopping with the intention of buying it. Before you shop, make sure to set intentions. If you're buying groceries, you can place an intention of only buying food during the trip. Another strategy to prevent impulse buying is to create a list before you start shopping. Make sure to only stick with what's on your list. While you're at home, you'll want to take an extensive inventory of what you have and what you need. That way, you won't feel like you've forgotten anything when you get to the store. Overall, impulsive spending is one of the worst spending habits you can have. You'll need to ensure you correct this problem. It takes a lot of dedication, but you're sure to feel much better about your finances when you start dealing with it. Final words. In conclusion, anyone can suffer from bad spending habits. You'll want to make sure you deal with them as soon as you can, so your financial situation doesn't get worse. The best way to start is to record all your spending, then move on to a budget. Overall, it does take time to break your mindset, but you don't need to have bad spending habits forever.